Stupid monkeys, the aliens chortled, guffawing at Earth from their cloaked ships circling the planet like vultures. But soon, humanity's vengeance would wipe their smug grins away as our secret weapon was unveiled. On the remote Hirogen outpost of Kaltan, Odin, the towering 7-foot leader of the warlike aliens, met with his inner circle of 5 trusted advisors in a shadowy room. Odin's rippling muscles were covered in scars, including one slicing his left eye. He slammed a fist on the table. The pathetic humans are ripe for conquest. Their feeble technology is no match for our cloaking devices and plasma cannons. We've watched them for decades. Now we strike, Odin declared. His advisors voiced enthusiastic agreement. Loki, his hulking second-in-command, and Thor, his cunning chief strategist, were especially vocal in support. Our ships can easily smash through their pitiful orbital defenses. This will be a slaughter, not a war, Thor said with a vicious smirk. Odin signaled his approval. Prepare the fleet for a full invasion of Earth. Soon their resources and people will be ours to exploit as we wish. The Hirogen's fanged grins were predatory as they dispersed to organize the impending attack that would spell doom for humanity. But light years away on Earth, piercing alarms yanked Lieutenant Commander Stephen Evans out of bed at a naval intelligence base. The fit, sharp-minded 35-year-old with a strong sense of duty raced to the radar room in rumpled fatigues. "A report," he barked at his 3 sleep-deprived analysts. "Sir, we're detecting bizarre energy readings at the solar system's edge, like nothing on record. Cloaked ships, possibly." Evans' blood ran cold. An alien threat. Possibly the first hostile encounter. This had to be handled flawlessly or Earth could fall. He began mobilizing every asset and ally to face this existential challenge, not knowing he'd soon reveal humanity's shocking hidden defense. In the radar room, Evans huddled with his team, poring over the bizarre energy readings with feverish intensity. Mark Johnson, the data analyst, ran the numbers again and again, his brow furrowed in concentration. "I've never seen anything like it, sir," Johnson said, his voice tight with tension. "These energy signatures are off the charts." Andrew Kim, the systems specialist, nodded in agreement. "It's like nothing we've ever encountered before. The power output is simply staggering." As they dug deeper into the data, a disturbing pattern began to emerge. David Chen, the communications expert, leaned in closer to the screen, his eyes widening in disbelief. "Sir, these readings, they match the signatures of advanced plasma weapons, far beyond anything we've developed on Earth." Evans felt a cold knot of dread form in his stomach. This was worse than he had feared. He knew he had to report his findings to Admiral Thompson immediately. In the Admiral's office, Evans laid out the evidence, his voice steady despite the growing sense of unease that gnawed at him. Thompson listened intently, his gruff features etched with concern. "Are you certain of this, Evans?" Thompson asked, his voice low and serious. "Yes, sir. The data is conclusive. We're dealing with a technology that far surpasses our own." Thompson leaned back in his chair, his eyes distant as he considered the implications. "Keep this information classified, Evans. We can't afford to let this leak out. Continue monitoring the situation and keep me informed of any developments." "Yes, sir." Evans saluted and turned to leave, but he couldn't shake the feeling that something terrible was looming on the horizon. Light years away on the Hirogen outpost of Kaltan, Odin stood on the bridge of his flagship, the HWS Ragnarok, watching as his fleet slipped into formation. The 50 heavily armed warships, each equipped with advanced cloaking devices and devastating plasma cannons, began their inexorable march towards Earth. Odin felt a thrill of anticipation as he watched the ships vanish from view, their cloaking devices rendering them invisible to human sensors. He knew that the primitive Earthlings, with their divided nations and feeble technology, would be no match for the might of the Hirogen. As the fleet entered Earth's solar system, they took up positions around the unsuspecting planet, waiting for Odin's signal to strike. The humans, blissfully unaware of the danger that lurked just beyond their reach, went about their daily lives, oblivious to the fact that their world was about to change forever. In the shadows of the Ragnarok's bridge, Odin's eyes glinted with malice as he prepared to give the order that would unleash hell upon Earth. The time for conquest had come, and the Hirogen would show no mercy. Back at the Naval Intelligence Base, Evans could feel the tension building in the radar room. The air was thick with a palpable sense of unease as the bizarre energy readings continued to pour in, each one more unsettling than the last. Johnson's fingers flew across the keyboard as he worked to decipher the strange communication signals, his brow furrowed in concentration. "I can't make heads or tails of this," Johnson muttered, his frustration evident. "It's like they're speaking in a completely alien language." Kim nodded, his eyes glued to the screen. "And the frequency of these signals is increasing by the minute. Something big is happening out there." Evans felt a cold sweat break out on his forehead as he watched the data stream in. He knew he had to act fast, but he was running out of options. That's when he remembered his old friend, Dr. Michael Tanaka. Tanaka was a brilliant physicist, one of the most innovative minds Evans had ever encountered. He had been working on a top-secret project at a remote research facility in the Nevada desert, and Evans had a hunch that whatever Tanaka was working on might hold the key to their salvation. With a heavy heart, Evans picked up the phone and dialed Tanaka's number. He knew he was taking a risk by reaching out, but he had no choice. "Michael, it's Stephen," Evans said, his voice tight with tension. "I need to ask you something, and I need you to be completely honest with me." There was a moment of silence on the other end of the line before Tanaka replied, his voice cautious. "What is it, Stephen?" Evans took a deep breath, choosing his words carefully. "Have you noticed anything unusual in your research lately? Anything that might be related to advanced propulsion systems or defensive capabilities?" Tanaka hesitated, and Evans could hear the wheels turning in his head. Finally he spoke, his voice low and serious. "Stephen, I can't go into details, but yes, we have been working on something. Something big. It's called Project Prometheus." Evans felt a surge of hope at Tanaka's words. "What is it, Michael? What does it do?" Tanaka sighed, and Evans could hear the weight of responsibility in his voice. "It's a spacecraft, Stephen. A highly advanced one, equipped with cutting-edge technologies that we've been developing in secret. It has a powerful new propulsion system and advanced defensive capabilities that could change everything." Evans' heart raced as he listened to Tanaka's explanation. This was it. This was the game-changer they needed. "Michael, I need you to listen to me very carefully," Evans said, his voice urgent. "We may be facing an imminent threat from an alien race. I can't give you all the details, but trust me when I say that Prometheus may be our only hope. I need you to prepare the spacecraft for deployment as soon as possible." Tanaka was silent for a long moment, the gravity of the situation sinking in. "I understand, Stephen. I'll do everything in my power to get Prometheus ready, but you need to know that this is going to change everything. The balance of power on Earth, and beyond, will never be the same." Evans nodded, even though Tanaka couldn't see him. "I know, Michael, but we don't have a choice. We have to be ready for whatever comes next." As Evans hung up the phone, he felt a glimmer of hope amidst the growing darkness. Prometheus was their secret weapon, their ace in the hole. But would it be enough to face the might of the Hirogen fleet? Light years away on the bridge of the HWS Ragnarok, Odin's eyes narrowed as he listened to the report from his intelligence officers. They had detected unusual energy readings emanating from a remote location on Earth, similar to those of advanced propulsion systems. Odin's mind raced with possibilities. Could the humans have developed technology that could threaten the Hirogen's plans? He couldn't take that chance. "Move the fleet into a higher orbit," Odin commanded, his voice like steel. "And prepare for a possible confrontation. We cannot allow the humans to interfere with our mission." As the Hirogen ships adjusted their positions, the tension on the bridge was palpable. Every warrior knew that they were on the brink of a battle that could determine the fate of two civilizations. And so, as the Hirogen fleet loomed above Earth like a gathering storm, and Project Prometheus hummed to life in a secret desert facility, The stage was set for a confrontation that would shake the very foundations of the universe. On the bridge of the Ragnarok, Odin paced like a caged beast as his intelligence team worked feverishly to locate the source of the mysterious energy signatures. "What is taking so long?" Odin snarled, his fists clenched. "I want answers now." Loki and Thor exchanged worried glances as they monitored their screens. They had never seen Odin so on edge. "My lord," Loki said carefully, "we are doing everything we can, but the humans seem to have found a way to mask the energy readings. It's proving difficult to pinpoint the exact location." Odin slammed his fist on the console, causing the bridge crew to flinch. "I don't want excuses. I want results. Find the source of those readings and neutralize it. We cannot allow anything to interfere with our invasion plans." As the Hirogen intelligence team redoubled their efforts, Evans and Tanaka worked around the clock to prepare Prometheus for launch. They had assembled a crew of 6 of the best and brightest, each hand-picked for their unique skills and expertise. There was Lieutenant Commander Maria Hernandez, a brilliant pilot with nerves of steel; Lieutenant Alex Nakamura, a gifted engineer who had helped design Prometheus's cutting-edge propulsion system; Dr. Samantha Carlson, a top xenobiologist who had studied the Hirogen extensively; Lieutenant Jack Russo, a crackshot with a keen tactical mind; and Sergeant Mike Thompson, a grizzled Marine veteran who had seen more than his fair share of combat. As the crew made their final preparations, Evans received an urgent message from Admiral Thompson. He stepped into a private room and activated the secure link. "Evans," Thompson said, his face grave, "I just got off the phone with the President. He's been briefed on the situation, and he's given the green light for Prometheus to engage the Hirogen fleet if necessary." Evans felt a weight settle on his shoulders. He had known this moment was coming, but hearing it from the Admiral made it all too real. "There's more," Thompson continued. "The government has been aware of the Prometheus project for some time. We've been secretly funding it as a contingency plan for just such a scenario. You have the full backing of the United States government, Evans. Whatever you need, you'll have it." Evans nodded, his jaw tight. "Understood, sir. We won't let you down." As the call ended, Evans took a deep breath, steeling himself for what was to come. He knew that the fate of humanity rested squarely on his shoulders and those of his crew. In a secret hangar deep in the Nevada desert, Prometheus sat like a coiled spring, ready to be unleashed. The sleek black spacecraft was a marvel of human ingenuity, packed with the most advanced technology ever conceived. As the crew boarded and strapped in, Evans took his place in the command chair. He felt a thrill of anticipation as he ran through the pre-flight checklist, his fingers dancing across the controls. "All systems green," he said, his voice steady. "Prepare for launch." But even as Prometheus prepared to take flight, the Hirogen made their move. On the bridge of the Ragnarok, Odin's eyes narrowed as he watched his ships decloak and begin their descent towards Earth. "The time for waiting is over," he growled. "Begin the invasion. Let the humans tremble before the might of the Hirogen." As the alien ships streaked towards the planet, their plasma cannons charging up to unleash devastation, Prometheus's engines roared to life. The spacecraft shuddered as it lifted off, rising from the desert floor like a phoenix from the ashes. In the command chair, Evans watched as the Earth fell away beneath them, replaced by the inky blackness of space. He knew that they were humanity's last line of defense, the only thing standing between the Hirogen and total annihilation. As Prometheus soared towards the enemy fleet, Evans whispered a silent prayer, hoping against hope that they would be enough to turn the tide of the battle to come. The fate of the world hung in the balance, and failure was not an option. As Prometheus breached the Earth's atmosphere, the crew collectively gasped at the sight before them. The viewscreen was filled with the menacing forms of the Hirogen warships, their hulls glinting in the sunlight as they bore down on the planet below. Evans gripped the armrests of the command chair, his knuckles white. He knew they had only one chance to stop the invasion. "Activate the phase cannon," he ordered, his voice steady despite the tension that thrummed through his body. Nakamura's fingers flew over the console, and a low hum filled the bridge as the weapon powered up. "Phase cannon online, sir," he reported, his eyes locked on the targeting display. Evans nodded. "Fire at will." A brilliant beam of energy lanced out from Prometheus, striking the nearest Hirogen vessel. The ship's shields flickered and died, and the phase cannon tore through its hull like paper. The warship exploded in a blinding flash of light, debris spinning out into space. For a moment there was silence on the bridge. Then, as one, the crew erupted into cheers. They had struck the first blow against the invaders. But their elation was short-lived. The Hirogen fleet, recovering from their initial shock, began to return fire. Plasma bolts slammed into Prometheus's shields, rocking the ship and sending sparks flying from overloaded consoles. "Shields down to 60%, Hernandez shouted over the din of battle. "We can't take much more of this." Evans gritted his teeth. They were hopelessly outnumbered, and even with Prometheus's advanced technology, they couldn't hope to defeat the entire Hirogen fleet alone. But they had to try. "Keep firing," he ordered, his eyes fixed on the view screen. "We have to buy Earth more time." The battle raged on, Prometheus weaving and dodging through the enemy ships, its phase cannon slicing through their hulls. But for every warship they destroyed, 2 more seemed to take its place. The Hirogen's numbers were simply too great. As another barrage of plasma fire rocked the ship, Evans knew they were running out of options. They needed a miracle. And then he remembered the EMP generator. It was a last resort, a weapon of such devastating power that it had never been tested in battle. But if it worked, it could disable the entire Hirogen fleet in one fell swoop. "Carlson," he said, turning to the xenobiologist, "is the EMP ready?" She hesitated for a moment, then nodded. "Yes, sir, but I should warn you the pulse will affect our systems as well. We'll be dead in the water." Evans closed his eyes, weighing the risks. But he knew they had no choice. "Do it," he said. Carlson's fingers danced over the controls, and a moment later, a blinding flash of light erupted from Prometheus. The EMP pulse raced outwards, washing over the Hirogen fleet like a tidal wave. One by one, the warships went dark, their systems fried by the electromagnetic surge. They hung in space, lifeless and still, like a graveyard of metal and glass. But Prometheus was not unscathed. The EMP had taken its toll, and alarms began to blare throughout the ship. "Life support failing," Nakamura shouted, his face pale. "Hull breach on decks 4 and 5. Evans knew they were out of time. "Abandon ship," he ordered, his voice heavy with resignation. "All hands to the escape pods." As the crew scrambled to evacuate, Evans remained in his chair, his eyes fixed on the view screen. He watched as the escape pods jettisoned from the ship, carrying his crew to safety. But he knew he could not join them. He had one last duty to perform. With a heavy heart he laid in a new course, aiming Prometheus directly at the HWS Ragnarok. Odin's flagship loomed before him, a behemoth of metal and fury. "Forgive me," he whispered, as his finger hovered over the button that would send him to his doom. He pressed it. Prometheus surged forward, a blazing spear of fire and light on a collision course with the Ragnarok. In the final moments before impact, Evans closed his eyes, a strange sense of peace settling over him. He had done his duty. Earth was safe and he could rest. The two ships collided in a cataclysmic explosion, a supernova of light and sound that lit up the void of space, and in that instant, both Evans and Odin were vaporized, their atoms scattered to the cosmic winds. The Hirogen fleet, leaderless and broken, began to retreat, slinking back to the dark corners of the universe from whence they had come. Their invasion had been shattered, their dreams of conquest turned to ash. On Earth, the world watched in stunned silence as the news of the battle spread. They had been saved, but at a terrible cost. In the days and weeks that followed, the name of Stephen Evans would be spoken with reverence and awe, his sacrifice held up as a shining example of the indomitable human spirit. The crew of Prometheus, those brave few who had stood against the darkness, would be remembered as heroes, their names etched forever in the annals of history. And as the world began to rebuild, a new sense of purpose and unity spread across the globe. Humanity, once fractured and divided, now stood as one, ready to face the challenges of a new era. The Hirogen, once so proud and mighty, slunk back to their homeworld, their tails between their legs. They had been beaten, not by superior technology or firepower, but by the courage and tenacity of a species they had dismissed as weak and inferior. The scars of the battle would linger for generations, a reminder of the fragility of life and the depths of the human spirit. But from those scars, a new strength would emerge, a strength that would carry humanity forward into the stars and beyond. The battle was over. The war was won. But the story of Prometheus and the heroes who had given their lives to save Earth would live on forever, a shining beacon of hope in a dark and uncertain universe. You have reached the end of the story. If you enjoyed this story and want to support us, please leave a like and subscribe to our channel, and for every comment that says 88, I will heart every single one of them. Thank you for your time.